Let's bring in Axiom Strategies, Erin, Perrine, and Spectator USA's Washington editor, Amber Duke. Thank you both for coming on. I want to start at the top in the politics with you, Erin, if I can. Nikki Haley will now vote for the former president. The question now is, will she endorse him? Will she possibly run with him if he asked her? What do you think?
I don't believe that Nikki Haley is going to endorse Donald Trump, nor do I think that Donald Trump is considering Nikki Haley to be a vice presidential nominee. Nikki Haley was very clear today that, yes, she would vote for Donald Trump. She considers both candidates fatally flawed. But even in that, she said that Donald Trump needs to be courting her supporters and talking to them directly. And when you look at the breakdown of Nikki's supporters and how she made it so far through the primary, it's kind of that double hater mentality. Those who don't like Trump and they don't like Biden, they were looking for another candidate. When you look at that, especially in the open primary states where anybody could vote without party affiliation, that's where Nikki pulled a lot of strength. So for Donald Trump, not only does he need to rev up the Republican base, but he should be talking to those voters. Whether or not he chooses to try and court Nikki Haley directly or her voters, that's going to be a key voting block to bring him over the threshold in November.
Yeah, interesting, because a lot of people think this might open the door for Nikki Haley to, one, endorse, and two, maybe he brings her on board and she becomes the first female president in the country. Meantime, a couple of emails from Fauci's top guy here. Amber, I want to put these up on the screen. I learned from our FOIA lady here how to make emails disappear after I am FOIA'd, but before the search starts. So I think we are all safe. Plus, I deleted most of those earlier emails after sending them to Gmail. He goes on to write, quoting here, "We are all smart enough to know to never have smoking guns, and we did. We wouldn't put them in emails, and if we found them, we would delete them." Listen, I'm not saying this is incriminating, but it just looks shady. Amber, your thoughts?
Right. Well, he admitted in his testimony today that it looked incriminating. To say that about yourself in front of a congressional subcommittee is obviously not a good sign. But I think what is so disturbing about these emails is the arrogant tone in which he was talking about skirting federal rules that require the American people to be able to have access to these communications. Clearly, these people never thought that there would be any accountability mechanism for the policies that they were rendering during the pandemic that frankly led to millions of lives being lost outside of the COVID restrictions because of the deaths of despair, the lack of medical treatment that people were able to receive for things that were not COVID related. It was a complete debacle, disaster, one of the worst, I think, public health responses in modern history.
Yeah,
and
maybe so.
These people very clearly never thought that they would be dragged in front of committees. They should be facing criminal responsibility.
While we are on the subject of lies, House Ways and Means Committee seems to have very strong evidence that Hunter Biden lied at least 3 times. Quoting the New York Post here, Hunter claims he was high or drunk when he sent a threatening text message to the wrong Chinese business associate, but phone records of the WhatsApp message show the associate, Raymond Zhao, responded and knew exactly what the president's son was talking about. Is Hunter in more peril here, Erin?
He absolutely could be, but it shouldn't necessarily be surprising that Hunter Biden would have lied to Congress. He lied on a federal firearms application, so this is not anything new. The difference with Hunter Biden is that he grew up with the Biden last name. His father was a sitting senator. He grew up with his father then becoming vice president. And it's funny, there are states that are passing legislation now that holds parents accountable for their children's bad actions. I don't necessarily love those legislative bills because some parents do everything they can to make sure their kids stay out of trouble. But here, Joe Biden really took precaution to make sure that while he tried to get Hunter the help he needs for his addiction and get him on the right path, he wasn't holding him accountable to the law, and he has shielded his son from that. So the fact that there is further issues now because Hunter has never been held accountable in that standard is not surprising.
Yeah, Mediaite says the following here. The Biden campaign is looking for a meme page manager. The Biden campaign searching for a manager to work with influencers that want to support the Democratic Party in the 2024 presidential election. Amber, I've got 30 seconds for you, but he needs young voters, so why not get a meme page editor?
Well, considering how well the Dark Brandon memes went over, like a lead balloon, I think they'd be better off finding a new candidate. I don't know what they're going to meme. Are they going to meme people's empty wallets? How about the minor who was just raped in Virginia by an illegal alien? None of these things are funny, unfortunately, to the American people. So I think this news is actually quite offensive to people who have serious problems with how this administration has sent this country into chaos.
Amber Duke, Erin Perrine, thank you both.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.